guys, welcome to another Saints Talk podcast. I'm T. Rose, I'm with G-Man, and I'm with Rob Sam. And the big news, we weren't planning on coming back until pre-draft, but everybody who hasn't been under a rock knows what has happened a couple of days ago. Sean Payton has retired after 16 years as the longest tenured and the highest winning percentage Saints coach in the history of the organization. So, G-Man, what's your feeling about the news when you first heard it?
I was shocked, surprised, but really not. I read something interesting today that Archie Manning said that Peyton comes from the Parcells school, where we all know that him and Parcells are real close. And Parcells ended up coaching 4 different teams, and Parcells' philosophy was shouldn't stay in one place too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Peyton been itching to leave. I guess, like he said in his press conference, it's easier to get fired than to leave because it's hard to walk away, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I got mixed feelings about it.
What about you? I'm sorry. Go ahead, G.
Yeah, no. I just was gonna say, you know, we enjoyed the ride, but eventually we was gonna have to get off.
So Rob Sam, what were your thoughts when you heard this news?
Hey, you know, it actually kind of caught me off guard. I usually stay on guard for it because I hear a lot of rumors about him and moving and leaving and things like that. But at this time, I was completely caught off guard, shocked, actually kind of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds not like he hurt me, just hurt that damn. What do we have to do now?
Right.
Or something like that. You know, he's given 16 years to the organization. Can't be mad, even if he ends up next year coaching Dallas, and you know we can't.
And look, not to be a biter, not to be a biter, but I felt a combination of what the both of you guys said. I'd heard some rumblings through Jay Glazer, you know, that he was talking to Sean, he was changing his mind every couple of seconds. And look, I honestly think Jay Glazer is Sean's leak, his plug. You know what I'm saying? For stuff that he don't want.
I know they're close.
Yeah, not only they're close, but you know it's strategic of anything that Jay says on the record. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And,
he wants to kind of control the narrative.
And Sean is a master manipulator. Absolutely, he's a master. Yep. And look, I'm not saying nothing, you know, because it's a brand and it's worked for him. But
exactly. And you're not bashing him. It's just
it is what it is. We saw what he did in that Super Bowl. You know, we saw what kind of guy, you know, where his mind was. So I'd heard that from Jay a couple of days before. I'd read that, you know, a couple of days before, but I was still shocked when I heard the news because I wasn't expecting it to come that fast, and I didn't know which way he was going to go. So let me ask you a question. What was different about this one versus the history of coaching changes, you know, that we've had in our franchise's history?
Well, first, like you said, we're coming from a place of relative prosperity. Relative to us, I realize we didn't make the playoffs this year or anything, but I think we all believe the franchise is relatively healthy. We've done a lot of winning. I think second most in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. So we've never had someone step down at a time like this. Usually it's a low point. Mm-hmm. And even if they step down like Mora did, this was a low point. That was a low point. And so this is a relative high point.
Because you're usually talking about a rebuild.
Exactly.
So
for sure.
So let me ask you a question, G-Man.
Yes.
Why do you think he may have left?
Like I said earlier, you know, he that relationship with Parcells. I think it. I don't want to say burnout because I don't think I would call it a burnout. I just think he's ready for another challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's gonna be Dallas, and you know, and we getting that compensation, go to Dallas next year. I ain't got no problem with that.
Exactly.
You know, exactly. I want because Because if you think about it, the longer he holds out, the less compensation we're gonna get. If you go to Dallas next year, I want that first round pick, and I won't take that wide receiver from Dallas over there, Amari Cooper. Send him on here.
So Sam, you've got an inside here. If you want to go to Dallas, go to Dallas.
I'm not saying that in a negative way.
Right. No.
Because I went back because y'all know how I feel about Dallas, but that's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, if you're gonna go, brother, go next year and help your ex team.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Sam, I got a question for you.
Because I'm gonna look at the positive side of this leaving. I know the Saints got to do the Rooney Rule and go out and try to get another coach. And I know we're gonna talk about that a little later. But this team, other than that salary cap, and I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Look at where we at this year, considering everything that happened.
Now, Sam, let me ask you a question.
And a good coach gonna take that over to the hump, I think.
Gotcha. Especially if we keep the front office intact.
Yes.
So Sam, let me ask you a question. You've always got your ear on the ground and on what's going on in Dallas and the Cowboys and everything, and you've been calling this for years, pretty much, right?
Oh yeah.
So what's your perspective?
Heard a lot. Yeah. Well, like I said, I heard a lot about it in Dallas. It's evident that Jerry Jones, he loves Sean Payton, and he looks at him as the one that got away.
And you've heard this every year, right? After the last couple of seasons.
Absolutely. And this past one, I just sent you guys an article by Mike Florio, of an episode that he recounts in his book after the 2019 championship game against the Rams, where we got no called. The talk was that there was a deal. Jerry Jones made his move, and that he and the Bensons and Loomis worked out a deal.
Okay.
And it was about to happen when Anthony Davis made a stand about wanting to leave, and they couldn't do anything to stop it. They knew they were going to have to let him go. So Loomis, it is said, according to Florio, told Peyton that, nah, I can't have both of you leaving in such a short period of time on my record. And allegedly Peyton was okay with that. I don't know how, true to form that, completely true that is, but there's always been some dalliances. Right. The Saints could hit Dallas with tampering charges if it was all like that. But it sounds like they have a working relationship going on, and it's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no.
Would you say, Pipe?
I was just going to say.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And there's no reason for us to be upset as Saints fans. 16 years is a long time. Everybody moves on. Let him. He brought us a level of football we'd never seen before. Got a Super Bowl. Could have had more. It's just time to move on. It's okay.
Okay, cool. I got another question for you guys, and this is like this question. Your answer could answer some future questions, so I just want you to keep it specific to the question. Then we got another topic that I think will address a lot of the stuff you guys want to add. So it's a one-word answer. Pipe, do you think they're going to hire from within, or you think they're going to hire from outside?
I'm going to go within to keep the team intact.
Okay, what about you, Rob Sam?
It's going to be from within.
Okay, now going back to you, Pipe. Who inside you think they're looking at, or who you think they're going to? Let's get straight to the point. Who you think they're going to hire?
I think it's going to be Dennis Allen.
And why? Why do you think they're going to make that choice?
Well, he has some head coaching experience in Oakland, even though it didn't really work out for him. He's turned his defense around. He ran the team when Peyton was out sick. And I'm just looking from the outside looking in. I think he has the respect of the players and the other coaches. we're not in the meetings and we're not in the locker room and stuff. So, but just looking, I think that the Saints organization, since Peyton has been here with Loomis, it's been real solid.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then you got a hiccup, but overall, I think he has his finger on the pulse of the team, and I think to me, that would be the best move.
Okay, and Rob Sam, why do you feel he would be the most logical hire?
Oh, many of the things that Piper just mentioned, and the thing. He's a successful coach. We can see that he can coach. He's got X's and O's. He's got that defense humming, and we've seen it steadily improve. What I think trips up most coaches is leadership and faults in leadership. The situation in Oakland when he was there was super chaotic, and it's really not the failure of his coaching team. I don't take it as a reflection on him. I don't think he had a chance to show what he's made of as a head coach and a leader, because the situation was just so dysfunctional there.
Was he there 2 years, or you know how long was he there?
Close. I'm gonna say it's close to 2.
He
I
got
think
fired.
he quite made 2.
Right. He got fired in his second year.
Okay.
And it was so I think from what he's done with the defense, and you can see the Cats believe in what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You can just see it. And so if he's doing that with that side of the ball, that's wonderful. That's showing me, of course, X and O's, but also leadership with the guys. They believe. You can see it. Right. I think he's going to be a good leader for the entire team. I like it.
Wait, and he got fired 4 games into the second season. They started 0-4.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
So yeah, September.
I know it was a quick exit.
September 29th after 4. So let me ask you. Let's talk about. Well, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. If they didn't hire from within, Pipe, who do you think are the top 3 leading candidates they should look at, or you think they would look at?
My top 3 would be Flores,
mm-hmm.
Brian Flores from Miami. I'm gonna go outside the box and say, bring Aaron Glenn back, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Think he had a good relationship with the team, and and I'll say Leftwich.
Mm-hmm. Rob Sam,
third one?
Okay, so Rob Sam, who would be your 3 candidates you think they?
Definitely like Flores. What he's done with what he's had is pretty amazing. I just think he's a real strong coach. Also, Raheem Morris with LA. He's their defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm cheat just a little bit because I want to say Todd Bowles, but I can't decide between him and Josh McDaniels.
I'm gonna give you guys a wild card, a young and up and coming coach, Kellen Moore, Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator. He fits that.
I got some definite. I was about to say I got some definite opinions on that.
What are those opinions? What are those opinions?
I don't think we got it much. We don't have enough time to go through that one.
Well, I'll put it to you like this, and I've heard a lot about Cowboy offense. Basically, what it boils down to, and this is exactly what it looks like when I watch them, a whole bunch of pretty good plays called, but not a real good scheme put together.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a lot better. It's like a guy who understands clearly what's happening, but hasn't really put it together in a coherent winning scheme. You understand?
Now, look, I'm gonna
calling plays in certain sequences and getting certain personnel on the field defensively, manipulating it through your own. That just doesn't really happen with them. So.
All right, and I'm gonna play.
I like that Raheem Morris though, Sam. I like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
I really didn't think about him.
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't thinking about the teams that's still playing now.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I hear you. Sure.
So let me, not the exact same thing, but people have said about Peyton. He's got good schemes. He's got Drew Brees. They put up a lot of numbers. They win a lot of games, but they don't win the big game. So would you put that in the same category, or that's different? What do you think?
I always kind of think that's kind of a tough way to put it. You win all those games, and you just don't succeed that often. I mean,
Not in this
Belichick
league.
has been
Not in this league.
Yeah, exactly. Belichick's an outlier, and he's lost 2 Super Bowls, and he's lost conference championship games and things like that. But it's just people say, "Oh, he just won 1 Super Bowl." I'm like, dude, you just don't understand how hard it is to win one
to be even in contention.
Exactly.
Now let's.
Yep, that's it.
Now, Pipe, you sound like you had some opinions on Kellen Moore, and what you want to add to what Sam said?
Well, I mean, just watching Dallas, I just like he said, it's just to me, it's with all that talent on that team, it was just too inconsistent. One game they just gangbusters, and then you get to play like they did the 14-second play where who came up with that idea? There should have been 5 right there on the field.
Right.
And I know Jerry Jones spent a lot of money on that team, probably spending money out the luxury. I don't know if they got a luxury tax with it, like basketball, but I mean, the talent on that offense for Dallas, I mean, it's just crazy. And I know they lost their receiver, before the last game, Gallup.
It's only one.
But,
it's only one.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. There's only one player that was lost, and it's look. Let's compare that to the Saints offense. 4 quarterbacks. We was right on the doorstep.
Right.
And they in there. And this, the way it looked, I was like, whoa, I don't want it to happen, but this looked like, Dallas was going to do something this year. But I say that's Dallas.
And that is why Jerry wants Peyton.
Yes.
This week, it's just a whole bunch of stuff, nice looking, but it's just not put together. And you're right. Gallup went out with a torn ACL, and Wilson comes in and steps right up and he's not even missed or hardly missed at all. So
now I want to talk about the elephant in the room. All right. And that is the Rooney Rule and your thoughts on the hiring and the non-hiring of black head coaches in a league that's about 60 to 65, 75% African American.
The league about 72%.
72%.
Somewhere like that.
Okay, so Pipe, what's your thoughts on that subject as it relates to the Saints? Because one of the names that I think both of you guys said was Flores, right?
Yes.
And I joked with you guys that Flores reminds me of a junior Mike Tomlin, right?
Yeah.
Very strong alpha personality who don't take nothing from nobody.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody can that kind of personality of African American ethnicity come into a town, a fan base like this. Let's be, we being real, and be successful.
Well, I respect the brother because Miami started out 1-7, and he kept that team together, and they turned that around, and they were getting close too, and they got a good defense. I ain't too excited about the offense, but he comes from that Belichick school too, because he coached with Belichick.
Right.
As far as the Rooney Rule, I get it. I understand it. I know, we got affirmative action and we need it because we need that leg up. We never got that 40 acres and a mule. But, it sometimes it's a detriment. I think it's like that, like you say, that elephant in the room, or the 90-pound gorilla that's in the room. And just for example, with the Saints, I'm pretty sure Dennis Allen had that job, but you got to bring in two guys that you're not going to give this job to, no matter what they come in. And I understand, the big thing is, well, you're giving them a chance to interview, and now they know how the interview process goes to get into the league and what they need to ask and all this good stuff like that. I get that. But look at Eric Bieniemy, man. He's been sitting in Kansas City running that offense with Andy Reid for 3 years now. He ain't got a job yet.
And he's been called in a couple of times, right?
Yeah, he's been interviewed, what is it about him? He's a New Orleans guy, so I'm pulling for him. But, to me, the Saints know, Peyton is stepping on. We got to bring two brothers in here to talk to them just to, we met the Rooney Rule, and then we turn around and say, have a press conference in 2 weeks and say, Dennis Allen taking over this job.
Interesting. Rob Sam, what's your take?
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, very, very interesting points. And so, Rob Sam, what do you have to say about that subject?
Well, it would be interesting to see him interacting with the media here and through them, the fans, and it'd be interesting to hear the phone calls. I heard a criticism of Flores. One of the they basically said he got fired basically because he didn't want to. He wanted Herbert, and Herbert's a much better player at this point, and you could see the difference, But I mean, Tua's not bad. Tua can win. I mean, it's kind of different. They're just different QBs, I mean, the same way Rodgers and Brees are different. But the part that got me was that number one, is that they accused him of being abrasive. And I'm like, why would that even come up in relation to a football coach?
Exactly.
All football coaches are abrasive.
Right.
Don't tell me that's an issue. As far as
the owners are abrasive. Everybody in the organization. Exactly. Same thing in Hollywood.
Precisely.
Precisely. These guys aren't athletes, but it's hardball.
Exactly. As far as Rooney Rule, I like it. It doesn't work. Now, the one time that I think it worked was actually in Pittsburgh, where Ken Wisenhunt and Arians were, I believe, they were on college staff, and that one of them was expected to get the job, and they had the Rooney interview with Tomlin, and he ended up getting the job. But it's the Rooney Rule. It's the patriarch of their family, Art Rooney. It's named for him. So some of that could have been doing goodwill, but you could see if Mike Tomlin comes in there and he interviews with you, you can't help but be impressed. So I mean that's kind of dude that moves the room. And like you were saying earlier, T. Flores and Tomlin, kind of same dudes, or same kinds of dudes. I like it. So.
Okay, guys. So before we go, every podcast we're going to put a spotlight on a former Saints player, coach, fan, or even general manager. We're going to call it Saints OG. Saints OG of the week is John Gilliam, who is famous for returning the opening kickoff 94 yards in the Saints' inaugural game in 1967 against the Los Angeles Rams for their first touchdown in franchise history in Tulane Stadium in front of over 80,000 fans. The Saints went on to lose the game 27-13, but the return was one of the few highlights of a 3-11 season, which at the time, believe it or not, set an NFL record for most wins by an expansion team. Gilliam was born in Greenwood, South Carolina. He attended Brewer High School there and played college football at South Carolina State University. He was drafted in the second round by the expansion New Orleans Saints. He played his first 2 seasons in New Orleans. Then he had stints with the St. Louis Cardinals from 69 to 71, the Minnesota Vikings from 72 to 75, the Atlanta Falcons in 76, and brief stints with the Chicago Bears and back to New Orleans in 1977. Gilliam played in 2 Super Bowls with the Vikings, Super Bowl VIII and Super Bowl IX. He was elected to the Pro Bowl all 4 years while he was with Minnesota. His career stats are 382 receptions, 7,056 yards, and 48 TDs. In the 3 years with the Saints, he recorded 57 receptions for 681 yards and 4 TDs. After retiring from football, Gilliam owned a number of businesses and for a few years worked for a radio station in Atlanta, where he has made his home since 1968. He and his wife Fanny have 4 children. Hey, that's all the time we have in today's podcast. I'm T. Rose, G-Man, Rob Sam. Join us next time when we will hopefully have some more juicy news about this looming coaching change for the Saints organization. Hey guys, stay safe out there.